Hey, so, um, I was just saying, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about what I went through. I'm thinking about tribulations that I went through. Think about the psychology connected to it. I'm thinking about what went on. I never had an issue with people being homosexual. I mean, I grew up in a family. There was a lot of people that chose alternative lifestyles. So there was no motive for me to have issues or any, negativity about it. I also grew up around people that were sexually active, and there was no need for me to have motive or issue about it. I grew up around people that sinned and weren't in alignment with God, but overall they appeared to be good people, so I really didn't have issue about it. When I decided to choose God, then issue arose. I was afflicted by those who said they were gay, and because I didn't choose to be gay, that I was a problem. I was afflicted by those that were sexually active, and because I chose not to be sexually active, I was a problem. I was afflicted by those who were sinful, and because I did not choose sin, I was a problem. I never truly understood the parable we wrestle not against the person, because the person may not be the problem, but the principle. The principle became the problem. I don't want to blaspheme God. Became the problem. I don't want to commit adultery. Became the problem. I don't want to live in sin. Became the problem. Me carrying higher principles became the problem for my norm. Because my norm was used to a lifestyle that was reckless. No matter how conservative this lifestyle was, it was reckless. It was destructive. It was damaging. It was abuse. And the only two that I had was God's two strongest warriors, grace and mercy. During these times of destructivity. Now, grace and mercy is different from every other warrior. See, grace and mercy don't care about coming in reckless areas that are war zones. Grace and mercy doesn't care about coming in the projects and the head of the project done said this is going to be a war zone. Grace and mercy don't care about the trenches, the gutter, or nothing else. Grace and mercy shows up in those areas. But there was another warrior that was missing. Principle. I had no principles to fight. You ever heard the story or the quote, stand for something or fall for anything? So I got grace and mercy, but at the same time I was falling for anything. Principle hadn't showed up yet. Purpose hadn't showed up yet. Destiny hadn't showed up yet. We was missing warriors that's supposed to be on the battlefield with me, but they weren't there. I had no discipline. Discipline wasn't there. It was displayed in the atmosphere and the environment that discipline wasn't there. And principle wasn't either. Usually principle and discipline are two warriors that come together. Because the moment that you have principle, it is automatic that discipline is going to show up to guide it. Same as grace and mercy. Principle are two more warriors. But I had no principles to stand on. My life was chaotic, and anything could enter into the home. Because I was off balance, I was off key, so anything could enter in because there's no principle here. You don't have no principle to stand on because you're not sitting up there reading the Word of God. So you're not standing on the principles of God. So therefore, anything and everything is entering in. It's exiting out the home. That which is good is exiting because good and evil can't dwell together. Holiness and unholiness can't dwell together. Have you ever seen an unholy place? Holy people don't usually enter in there. So you will never find a holy man in a nightclub unless he's called there to collect that which is God. But it's very rare that you will find the righteous amongst the unrighteous. And because there was no principle or discipline in place, unrighteousness overthrew the household and was released into my home. There's a saying, whatever you allow to go on here with you, it will run into other realms, dimensions, lifestyles, and it will go on to destroy more than just you. Because when you release unholiness, holiness has the ability to overthrow God. This is the type that they talk about that was bound. This is the devil that was in the bottomless pit. This is that thing that most people don't want to address. The overthrowing of God. The exorcism of God. I never knew God could be exorcised out with evil, but I knew that good could exorcise out evil, but I didn't know it worked in reverse. So I had to start being careful what I do because now principle has shown up. and discipline has shown up. And along with principle and discipline, another one showed up that I wasn't even expecting to show up. It's called organization. So now I have a desire to organize my life and bring it into order. This is a desire that's constantly with me, even when my environment is chaotic and it looks totally different from what God is doing. I have organization who showed up and said, time to bring it into focus. I have the principle of God to stand on, so now I cannot accept homosexuality around me. I don't care how you feel about it. I don't care what you're going through. I cannot accept sexual immortality around me. I don't care how you feel about it. I don't care what's going on with you. And I cannot accept sin around me. I don't want it in my atmosphere, in my environment, or what I got going on. And now discipline has shown up, because temptation and discipline have always been enemies. So when temptation showed up, discipline say, that's not the order of things. That's not how we organize things around here. We stand on principle, and temptation has no place here. Discipline and organization and principle have came together like a holy trio. It said that there has to be more to you than what you have displayed. So principle said, I'm going to stand on the Word of God, and I'm going to stand on the brilliant teachings of scholars and educators and people of God, and I'm going to make you great. Discipline says if you structure your life and live in accordance with that which you know is healthy for you, it will come into alignment. Organization says just get a routine together so that we can resist certain things even if we're a little bit unfocused. And we're going to do this. So these warriors showed up in one. And my lifestyle and my characteristics begin to change. My focus begins to change. My outcomes begin to change. It was not an overnight process to change such things in such tribulations in a time such as this. But with the assistance of God and God's people, the transition for what I wanted for myself began to happen. I was able now to shun evil. I was able to tell temptation and tempt your way on somewhere else. I was able to stand on God's principle, so when sin showed up, I could say, you can go somewhere else. You have no authority here. And when chaos showed up, I said, this is the house of order. You're going to have to find somewhere else to go. And I was able to fight battles like this. Needless to say, the other side was mad. Evil was mad. Either say she won't fall for temptation, but she's still going to have the problems of it. I begin to deal with rape situations and coming up with STDs, and I'm not even sexually active, and I begin to deal with turmoil, and I'm supposed to be reaping harvest because I got organization, principle, and discipline going. But evil wanted chaos to reign in my life. Needless to say, I got organization, principle, and discipline fighting them off. I got grace displaying mercy. So grace and mercy showing up, they showing out. But yet and still I'm not happy, content, or where I'm supposed to be. But I say this, and I'm ministering this to show you that this is done to show you that the enemy board looked the same as mine. The enemy has grace and mercy too. But the enemy's grace and mercy shows up with motive. The enemy will sicken you so that it can show you grace and mercy. The enemy will toxify you so that it can sit up there and say, I cured you. It will sicken you to be able to say the same thing. I cured you. I healed you. I was grace and mercy that showed up. But how you will be able to tell grace and mercy of God and grace and mercy of the enemy shows you grace and mercy to prosper off of you. The enemy shows up with their grace and mercy, and it's only to prosper off of you. Mind you, you got a whole loaf of bread, and their grace and mercy only want to give you crumbs. God, grace and mercy come with the whole loaf and say, here, this belongs to you. And this is how we do things. There's no strings attached. You don't have to be a puppet for this. You don't have to do no strange things for a little piece of change. You don't have to do none of that stuff. This is just how we roll. You will be able to tell the difference between the enemy grace and mercy and God's grace and mercy. And let me tell you something. Don't think because these are things of God that the enemy won't switch out. Because these Jacobs come to take birthrights. They come to take that which is yours. You have saw much. Esau, much is required. For we are those that are written of in the Bible. Hopefully these words have encouraged you. Hopefully you can grow from them. Stay blessed.